Good day, friends. When Adolf Hitler, the Führer of Germany, called the Germans as the master race of the world, I don't know what exactly he meant by it. I presume he thought the Germans were born to rule the world, so that the whole world will be slaves at the feet of German race. That's what perhaps he meant by that. But when I say that the Indians are the master race of the world, I don't come to mean that way. The word master has another meaning. Any standard English dictionary will give you that meaning. The word master means teacher, a man of extreme capability, a man who can guide others. Even he can be called a master. When I say master race of the world, the Indians, I mean Indians belong to the teaching race. They have been the teachers of the world. They are and they will be. That's what I mean. Every nation, in fact, has its own share of teaching. For example, they say China taught the world about the matchbox, about the tea. Japan taught us about Kung Fu, Judo, Karate. The Red Indians taught us about the boomerang. The West taught us about the printing press, computer, the modern technology, etc., etc. So every nation has its own share of teaching. But when we compare the weight of the lessons given by Indians or the number of teachings India has to offer for the world, I think India stands aloof. It can be very easily called the teaching race. I shall give you a few examples today. First of all, we have been thinking that Sir Isaac Newton was the first man to discover the gravitational force of the earth. We are told that he was sleeping under an apple tree, an apple fell upon his head. Then he discovered that the earth has the gravitational force. But hundreds of years before he was born, Isaac Newton belongs to the 17th century. But in India, there is a book called Siddhanta Shiromani, Bhuvana Kosha. It belongs to the 6th century. It was written 528 AD. There is a sloka in that book. I shall read it out. Akrishti Shaktischa Mahi Taya Kastam Guru Swabhimukham Swashaktya Akrishyate Tat Patativa Bhati Same Samantat Kva Patatviyam Ke. The meaning is, massive celestial bodies are attracted powerfully towards the earth by her own gravitational force. And they appear to fall as a result of such attraction, but when equal forces act on a body in space from all sides, how can it fall? This sloka refers to the mutual balance of all the planets also. Then, I have some other slokas also for you to read out. In Taittiriya Samhita, we come across a sloka, Mitro Dahadare Prithvi Mutadhyam Mitraha Krishtihi. It means the sun holds the earth and the celestial region. The sun is the attracting power of all heavenly bodies. Now, this Taittiriya Samhita belongs to an age which is hundreds or even thousands of years before Galileo was born. They say Galileo was the man who told us first that the earth is going around the sun, not the vice versa. But here we find there is a reference to the sun being the center of the solar family. It holds all planets. And then in Rig Veda 1.164.2, there is a sloka, Trinahabi chakram ajaram anarmam yatrema vishwa bhuvanani tastuhu. The elliptical path through which all the celestial bodies move is imperishable and unslackened. Here, the Vedas refer to a fact that planets follow an elliptical path around the sun. Copernicus wrongly told us that all planets follow a circular orbit. But in later days, Johannes Kepler came and told us in 1609 that it is not a circular orbit, but it is an elliptical path. But Rig Veda, internationally Rig Veda has been accepted to be the earliest human literature. It says this Trinabi Chakram, by that it means the elliptical path, is followed by all planets. So, we need not understand that at least the Indians were in dark till Galileo told us this fact. Then, one more example. This speaks about eclipse. This is from a book called Aryabhattiyam. This belongs to 499 AD. This sloka says, Chadayati sashi suryam sashinam mahati cha bhuchaya. The meaning is, the moon covers the sun and the great shadow of the earth covers the moon. So, they explain how an eclipse occurs. This is the 5th century. They had discovered about this solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. Then, I am not going to boring you much, but a few more examples. There is a book called Rasarnava. It belongs to the 12th century. This speaks of magnets. This is physics. Bhamakam, chumbakam, chaivam, karshakam, dravakam, tata. Yevam, chaturvidam, kantam, romakantam, cha panchamam. Meaning is, there are 5 kinds of magnets. They are Brahmakam, Chumbakam, Karshakam, Dravakam, Romakam. And speaking further about it, these 5 have 6 sub-varieties. Eka, Dvi, Tri, Chatuhu, Pancha, Sarvato, Mukham, Yevatat, Pitam, Krishnam, Tata, Raktam, Trivarnam, Syat, Pritak, Pritake. Single-phased, two-phased, three-phased, four-phased, five-phased, multi-phased magnets are there. They are yellow, red and black in color. In all, there are 90 varieties of magnets, this book says. Then, speaking of rainbow, there is a book called Brihat Samhita, chapter 35, speaks of this rainbow. This book belongs to the 6th century. Suryasya vividavarnaha pavanena vighatidaha karaha sabre viyati dhanuhu samsthanaha ye drishyante tad indradhanuhu. The multicolored rays of the sun being dispersed in a cloudy sky are seen in the form of a bow, which is called the rainbow. Here they say how a beam of white ray creates 7 colors, how 7 colors are made, how Vibgr is produced. You can remember how in the physical laboratory our teacher demonstrated with the help of a prism. But these people had known it as early as that period. Then speaking of motion, there is a book called Vaiseshika Darshanam. It says Samyoga Vibhaga Veganam Karma Samanam. Motion is the cause of conjunction, disjunction and velocity. Then next sloka, Gurutva Prayatna Samyoganam Ukshepanam. Motion against gravity is due to effort and the conjunction is the effect. The next sloka, Manigamanam Suchabhisarpanam Adrishtakaranam. Motion is of precious stones and the compass needle is due to invisible cause. So these observations they have made about motion, creation of energy. Then I speak about lens. Roger Bacon gave us the lens, and that is in the 13th century. A lens was supposed to be a great discovery at that time. But here we see in the 800 BC, not even AD, mind it, 800 BC, the name of the book is Nyaya Darshanam. There we find a sloka, Aprapya Grahanam Kacha Brapatala Spatikantarito Upalabdehe. That which cannot be perceived with the naked eye can be perceived with the help of instruments with lenses made of kacha, glass, abrapatala, mica, and spatika. So they have made lenses out of these three materials. And just imagine, in the 8th century BC, they have made this discovery. Then, let us come to chemistry. In chemistry, there is a book called Rasarnavam, chapter 7, sloka 96. It speaks of the resistance to corrosion by metals. Suvarnam, Rajatam, Tamram, Tekshinam, Vangam, Bhujangamam, Lohantu, Shalvidam, Tatcha, Yata Purvam, Tadakshayam. Gold, silver, copper, iron, lead, zinc are the 6 types of metals. Their stability and resistance towards corrosion or reactivity is in the reverse order of the above. So they have studied about the corrosion and resistance to corrosion for metals. And in metallurgy, they have made a research about pure metals and alloys. This sloka, they speak of pure metals and alloys. They say gold, silver, copper, tin, lead and iron are pure metals. Then bronze and brass, they are alloys. The sloka is this: Suvarnam, Rajatam, Tamram, Trapu, Sisakamayasam, Shadetani cha Lohani, Kritrimau, Kamsapitalau. So they knew how to bring about an alloy. They knew the difference between a pure metal and an alloy. In Rasarnavam chapter 7, sloka 99 speaks about gold. Gold is obtained from chemicals, mines and mixture of metals. You see, nowadays we speak of alchemistry, making of artificial gold and all. But these people, they say, gold is obtained from chemicals. It can be got directly from mines and it can be produced by mixture of metals. This sloka, in Rasarnavam chapter 7, sloka 99, it says, Rasajam Kshetrajam Chaiva Loka Sankarajam Tata Trividam Jayate Hema Chaturtham No Upalabhyate. You see, these books are available even today. So these are not books not available. So you can always go to these books for reference. Then coming to mathematics. Now I have an interesting statement to make. You know, the world famous scientist Albert Einstein, you know what he said about Indian mathematics? He told us, we owe a lot to Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made. This is the statement of Albert Einstein. India taught the world zero. What is zero? What is the value of zero? How does zero convert a number when it is put after it or before it? It makes no notion of difference. They call it Sunya in Sanskrit. Arabic it was called cipher. In English we call it zero. Then coming to geometry, in Bodhayana Sutram, we come across the Pythagorean theorem. You see, we talk so great about Pythagoras, his theorem. But you just make a note of the statement of the Indologist Leopold von Schroeder. He says the Pythagoras theorem had its origin in the Sulba Sutras of Bodhayana and Apastamba. The Indologist, the world famous Indologist says that. That is AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square. This theorem, now known as Pythagorean theorem, was known to Indians 1000 years before Pythagoras was born. I will give you the exact sloka. Dhirga chatura sasyakshanya rajjuhu parshvamani tiryakmani cha yat prithakbhute krutas tadubhayam karoti. The areas of the squares produced separately by the length and breadth of the rectangle together equal the area of the square produced by the diagonal. Clearly the Pythagorean theorem. Then coming to medicine, this book, Bheda Samhita, it says blood flows from the heart and then to all places. Through the veins, it again reaches the heart. So they had known about human biology. The sloka says, in Bheda Samhita, chapter 20, sloka 3, Hrido raso nissarati tasmadeti cha sarvachaha sirabir hridayam vaiti tasmatat prabhavaha siraha. Then coming to botany, there is an interesting sloka of producing seedless fruits. Today, science brags very much about producing seedless fruits. But as early as the 13th century, there is a book called Upananda Vinoda. There, Madhyashti Siddhakushtam Madhupushpa Vinirmitaihi Modakais Chadite Mole Nirasti Syat Phalam Taroho. A paste prepared out of Madhyashti, sugar, kushtam, Madhupushpam together applied to the root of a tree produces seedless fruits. So this is a wonderful observation. Now I would read out a short list of books in Sanskrit which deal with science. Say astronomy, Aryabhatiyam, this is 5th century. Then Brihad Vimana Shastram, Surya Siddhanta, Siddhanta Shiromani. Then physics, Vaiseshika Darshanam, Rasarnavam, Agastya Samhita. Then Brihad Samhita, Vaiseshika Darshanam, Nyaya Darshanam, Nyaya Kundali. Then engineering, Yantrarnavam. Then aeronautics, Bhrigu Samhita, Yuktikalpam, Yuktikalpataru, Vimana Shastram. In coming to chemistry, we have the books Rasaratna Samuchaya, Rasarnavam, Susruta Samhita, then Sukranti. Metallurgy, Yajnavalkya Smriti. Mathematics, Aryabhatiyam. Geometry, Bodhayana Sutram. Medicine, Charaka Samhita, Bela Samhita, Sangeeta Ratnakara. Nadi Darpanam. Botany, Vrikshayurveda, then Upavana Vinoda. Agriculture, Krishi Parasara. Now, what I told you so far is just a drop from the ocean of knowledge Indians had accumulated in India in the past. There is a book called Mayamatam which deals with architecture, temple building, house building and all public engineering. Now, these are all past glories. So, in the past, whether they taught to the rest of the world or not, at least they were not in need of somebody else teaching them all these things. The world is wrongly thinking that the modern scientists, people who date some 400 or 500 years back from today, it is they who taught the whole world about everything scientific. That is not a fact. Probably India in those days did not teach others about this science, but they were rich, they were replete with the knowledge of scientific facts. And I gave you examples. Now coming to the present tense. Forget about the past. Past is past. Coming to the present tense, the present period, what does India have to give the world? Now, there are a few points. It is an ocean of a subject. I cannot keep on lecturing. That will be boring to you. First of all, the karma theory. The Indians said, man is born again and again. This birth is not the only experience for human soul. All Eastern religions, say, take Buddhism or Jainism, Lord Buddha was a perfect Indian. Lord Mahavira was a perfect Indian. Buddhism and Jainism sprang from India only. Today in China, in Japan, in Malaysia, in all Southeastern countries, we find Buddhism and Jainism spread very strongly and vehemently. But those religions sprang from Indian soil. Buddha was born for Indian parents. Lord Mahavira was born for Indian parents. Those religions sprang from here. Those religions, even though they are Nirishwara religions, they insist upon karma theory. They accept the karma theory of the Vaidikas, the Hindus. The Indians say, man is born again and again. That gives you a proper explanation why man suffers in this life. The ups and downs of life are explained very rationally by karma theory. by rebirth, we get a good picture of Godhead. Without this concept, accepting God as a being of pure kindness is very difficult. Karma theory explains the iniquities, the cause for the iniquities, the reasons for the ups and downs of life. Why some men are tall, why some men are black, why some men are short, why some men are rich, why some are healthy, why some are not. So we find very rational reasons in that area. And very many non-Indians have accepted that. Then take about this vegetarian diet. Which other race in the world said that there is a connection between vegetarian diet and spirituality? Indians said that. The Indians are the only race to say that diet can be classified into sattvic, rajasic and tamasic categories, and sattvic food alone will help you in spirituality. They had known the greatness of vegetarian diet. They advocated it. So even non-vegetarians in India are very sparingly non-vegetarian, because vegetarian diet is closely related to spirituality. It has something to do with your spiritual growth. It controls your mind and feelings. Then speak of this human soul. Who else said that the human soul is located in so-and-so place in the human body? Angushtamatra Purushaha. They said in the Daharakasha, that is in the heart, there is God and there is this Jivatma, soul. Both Jivatma and Paramatma are located there. You might laugh at the concept, but at least they had the guts enough to say that they had the third eye or the seventh sense to see that, to experience it. They preached the yoga. Today yoga is world famous. Yogic asanas, exercises, yogic practices have helped the West very much from escaping. They have helped it. Yoga has helped the West very much in finding a solution to the mental tension the modern life has given them. Through yoga, the Indians have proved that the human body is, after all, not a heap of flesh. It is capable of wonderful things. The body itself is a temple, they said. The rishis of yore, the maharishis, the sages of the olden India, they had proved that human body, if trained in a particular fashion, is capable of producing wonderful results. They had controlled the planets. They had controlled the forces of nature. Everything was under their control. Without a telescope, they had mapped the skies. Talk about the ephemeris. What is it? In Sanskrit, they call it Panchanga. It gives you the correct position of the planets merely by calculation. How could they do it? It is by that jnana drishti. That is the spiritual capacity to tear off the screen, the curtain of time. They could travel through time. They could read the past, present and future. So this yogic discipline is still fresh in India, waiting for students. So more and more of non-Indians are being drawn towards it. People from China, people from Japan, people from other countries who came to India as visitors, say Fahian, Yuan Swang, they have given a very good report about India of those days. Their diaries are very useful. That India had a very glorious past because of the discipline I refer to now. In those days, India was a point of attraction. In recent years, India sent one Vivekananda, then Dr. Radhakrishnan, and then of late one Prabhupada. So these teachers go there to teach the Indian science. So I say the Indian race is the teaching race, the master race of the world. And I don't think it is an exaggeration. It is not a boasting. It is just a presentation of some undeniable facts about which the world is in dark. Thank you. Goodbye.